This is WFYI News Now. It's Monday, February 9th, and I'm Sarah Neal Estes. Here are today's Central Indiana and statewide stories. The Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department opened an internal review after a viral video showed an officer threaten a teenage driver during a Friday traffic stop. The clip shows the officer used profanity and threatened to kill the juvenile. Police say a teen in the vehicle was arrested because he was within reach of a loaded handgun. Online, some are calling the officer's behavior a dangerous abuse of power. IMPD says the language used does not reflect the department's values. In northern Indiana over the weekend, Michiana Mennonite congregations called on Minnesota-based Target to take a stand against federal immigration enforcement actions.
ICE out of Target now! ICE out of Target now!
The group says it was one of dozens of similar protests organized against Target by Mennonites across the country. Protesters gathered outside the Target store in Goshen. They carried signs and sang hymns. Darren Bergstresser is on the pastoral team at Waterford Mennonite Church. He says he believes Target has the power to put pressure on the Trump administration.
Particularly in Minnesota, where they're headquartered, it would mean something for them to say we would like ICE to leave Minnesota.
The group also calls on Target to post signs denying entry to immigration and customs enforcement agents without a warrant. At the State House, language aimed to make it easier to build data centers on farmland is not expected to make it through this legislative session. The shift comes after opponents warned it would have allowed those projects to bypass local zoning and public input. State lawmakers may also block insurance companies from charging hospitals a penalty for connecting patients with out-of-network providers. Ben Thorpe reports that comes after insurance company Elevance, which is the parent company to Anthem, announced it would institute penalties starting in January of this year.
The penalty on out-of-network services comes as insurance companies say they've been impacted by the federal No Surprises Act, which requires hospitals and insurance companies to negotiate the cost of out-of-network care. Insurance companies say that they have been losing disputes with hospitals over the cost of care, costing them money. But bill author Scott Baldwin says shifting the burden to hospitals is unfair and will impact consumers.
Well, where do you think that's going to go? It's ultimately going to go to the patient. Clearly, it's going to go to the patient.
Baldwin says many hospitals in Indiana are operating on negative margins, and it's important for the state to take a stance on the insurance fees. I'm Ben Thorpe at the State House.
The field is set for Indiana's upcoming primary election. This year, all U.S. House seats, all Indiana House seats, and half of state Senate seats will be on the ballot. Eric Weddle has more.
Indiana's primary election is set for Tuesday, May 5th. Voters will head to polls to choose Democrat and Republican candidates for Congress, the state legislature, and local offices. But three major statewide races will be missing from your primary ballot. November election candidates for Secretary of State, State Comptroller, and Treasurer are instead chosen by delegates at party conventions later this summer. If you are not registered to vote yet, the deadline is April 6th. You can find a full list of who is running in the May primary on our website. I'm Eric Weddle in Indianapolis.
And again, to see the full list of all candidates running in the May primary, go to WFYI.org. That's all for this episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Zach Bundy, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Kendall Antron produced our music. And if you liked today's episode, remember to subscribe and share. And follow WFYI on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to get the latest updates from our newsroom anytime. Thank you for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.